So when I'm often asked as a nutritionist what I should be feeding the dog in terms of the quantity, the bottom line is that on every single bag of dog or cat food, there are feeding recommendations. Those recommendations are designed for the life stage as well as for the overall amount that we think your dog or cat should be eating depending on how much they weigh.
For Lucy here, she weighs about 40 pounds. And for her to maintain her ideal body weight, I typically, for the food she's on right now, end up feeding her about 3 cups per day. Obviously, that's going to vary a little bit depending on the specific food that you're feeding, and that's why it's always important to look at that package to help with your guidelines. I do also, when I'm feeding Lucy, I pay attention to whether she's gaining some weight or losing some weight, and I try to maintain her within her ideal body condition. If at some point I feel like she's gaining weight, maybe during the winter time when she's not working out as much, then at that point I'll actually back down a little bit on the amount of food that I'm feeding. Not much, but just a little bit to keep her where I need her to be. During the summertime, when her activity level goes up and she's playing around with her brother at home, we'll increase her food to make sure that she, again, is maintaining that ideal healthy weight every day.
So if your dog is gaining weight, you can decrease by about 1/2 cup, and if your dog is losing weight, then you might want to increase by 1/2 cup. Working with your veterinarian, you come up with some wonderful guidelines on how to feed your dog appropriately for a long and healthy life. So when often asked about exactly how much I should be feeding, really I don't want to be feeding a cup that's like this, because this really is not a cup. So Gracie, if she saw this cup being filled, would be very excited because I'd be feeding her about 2 to 3 times what she should be fed. When your veterinarian sits back and says, feed a cup, you should really get a measuring cup much like this one and feed your dog according to those measuring cups.
If you are feeding a cat at home, or even for some small dogs, you may want to look at an individual measuring scoop for the amount of food that you feed. And this is a 1/4 cup measuring cup, and it also has a little hash mark in it for 1/8 of a cup. And that's going to be very useful for your smaller pets.